Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to Misty Moon Designs. Today we're diving into a colorful and carefree vibe with a bracelet tutorial inspired by Bohemian themed bead collection. I'm going to be showing you how to make 8 stackable bracelets using the gorgeous beads that came in Didi's Deluxe bead box for the month of April. Now if you're not familiar with that box, I'll leave some information down below in the description section of this video, along with a link to the website and a coupon code in case you're interested. And if you missed out on buying the April box, you can still make this project. You're just going to have to find similar beads. As you can see, these beautiful bracelets feature a multitude of colorful beads of different sizes and shapes, and they look great worn together or separately. Some are stretch bracelets and others have lobster clasps and toggle clasps. I'm going to show you step by step how to make all of them. So if you love boho style, layered jewelry, or just playing with beautiful beads, you're going to love this project. So let's get started. Before we get started, I wanted to give you a glimpse of the box. And look at these gorgeous Bohemian-inspired colors. How can you not get inspiration with such beautiful beads? Now, I'm not going to go through each of the items because I've already done an unboxing video. If you haven't seen it, I'll link it down below. But as you can see, we have some cube-shaped beads. We have these paisley-shaped beads. These are really cool looking. We have some oval beads. And I love this strand. Oh my gosh, this is such a beautiful strand. You could literally string these on beading wire and you've got a bracelet. I mean, you really don't have to do that much with it. I'm not sure if that's what I'm going to do. Now these I made myself. These did not come in the box. I made a total of 3, as you can see, and I may or may not use these. I think my favorite beads are these though. Look at these. Aren't these gorgeous? I love the colors. So what I'm going to do is play with these for a little bit. I'm going to try to come up with some bracelet ideas, and then I'll come back and show you, and we'll talk about each of the designs. And if you've been following my channel, you know that I like to use these. These are called magic rods. These are bead arranging rods, and I carry them in my Etsy store. They measure about 12 inches in length. What's so nice about these is that you can load all kinds of beads, both large and small, including seed beads. And then with these stoppers, you bring them together to get whatever measurement you need. They're made out of steel and they hold a shape, but they're also thin enough that they fit through small holes. But anyway, I'm going to use these, and if you're interested in these, I'll leave a link down below to my Etsy store as well. So let me go ahead and play with the beads for a little bit, and then I'll come back and show you all the different bracelet ideas, and I'll show you how to string the beads, crimp off the ends, and add a clasp. So I'll see you in a few moments. As you can see, I've come up with 7 different designs, and each one is on its separate rod. That's one of the nice things about using these rods. And I actually have an 8th one, this one right here, but this one's going to be beaded components on wire, craft wire, which is why it's shorter than the other ones. But right off the bat, you can see why I like using them, because I can combine large beads, small beads, bead caps, seed beads, and I can bring them all up against each other using the stoppers to ensure that I get the measurements that I need. And that's something you can't do with a beading board or a bead tray. The other nice thing about rods is the portability. I can simply lift them up like this and carry them around, and I don't have to worry about losing my beads or knocking the bead tray over. So there are a lot of benefits to using rods. Now, one thing I do want to mention is that they're pretty sharp because they're very thin, and when you go to put the stoppers on, you may have a little difficulty because the stoppers are pretty small. Another thing I want to mention is that if you're using heavy beads, you definitely want to have 2 or 3 stoppers at each end to keep the beads in place, otherwise they might slide off. But anyway, guys, I love this combination. It's so pretty. I love all the colors. Now, some of these bracelets are going to have toggle clasps, and some are going to have lobster clasps, and I think I'll use stretch cord on a couple of them. And I will show you how to do all of that. I know some of you already know how to do that if you've been making jewelry for a while, but I also know that I have a lot of beginners. So if you want to skip from one bracelet to the other, you can always use the timestamps down below. So obviously, in addition to this, I'll be using jump rings, beading wire, stretch cord, and of course the clasps and the jump rings. I'm also going to be creating some dangles. This one right here is going to have a bunch of dangles in between each of the components. Normally when I make a bracelet like this, I don't put it on a rod, but sometimes I do. It just all depends. I did put them on a rod this time so you can see what I came up with. Like I said, I'm going to be creating beaded components with each set of these beads, and in between I'm going to have jump rings and dangles. But anyway, I don't want to waste any more time. I want to get going. So let's go ahead and start with this first bracelet. Let me remove the rest. We'll work on this one. This one's going to have a toggle clasp, and toggle clasps take up space. So what I'll probably do is remove some of these beads on the end. That's something you're going to have to decide as you go along, depending on how big your wrist is. I can tell you that this one measures almost 6 inches. Now all of these focal beads, except for this one right here, this oval bead, came in the Inspired by Czech designer strand. These 3 spacer beads came from my own collection. They measure about 4 millimeters across, and the seed beads came from my own collection as well. They're size 8/0. I'm going to be using some beading wire, and this is 49 strand beading wire. It measures 0.015 of an inch in diameter, or 0.38 millimeters, and it's in a bronze color. I'm going to cut myself a 12-inch piece. It's probably more than what I need, but I'd rather work with more than with less. Plus you need extra for the crimping. I'm going to use one of these clips so that I don't lose my beads. And let me go ahead and offload. To offload, I'm going to hold onto the rod here, slide the stopper off this end. And now I'm taking off the seed bead first. And now the disc beads in sets of 6. All at once like this. That's one of the nice things about rods. They keep the beads in alignment, so I'm able to offload in multiples. So let me keep going. As you can see, I've strung on all my beads, and now I just need to crimp off the ends and add the clasp. And I'm going to want to use a wire guardian as well as a crimp cover. And at this point, it really doesn't matter what color crimp bead you use. As you can see, these are gold. You can use gold, bronze, whatever color. It really doesn't matter because it's going to be covered. We're going to be covering them up with some crimp covers. These measure about 4 millimeters in size when they're closed, I believe. I have a couple of wire guardians. So let me work on this end. Now I think what I'm going to do is remove the seed bead because the crimp cover is going to take up space. And like I said, I think it measures 4 millimeters across. So now I'm going to slide on a tube and now a wire guardian. I'm going in one end like this. I'm going to go down the other end. Like this. And now let me go through the crimp tube. Bring everything down like this. Let me close these legs a little bit. And you do want to separate your beading wire inside that tube. It's a little tricky because you can't really see what's happening in there. But if you hold your beading wire like this, you should be okay. Now using the first notch, that's the notch that creates the U shape, I'm going to go ahead and place the tube inside that notch. Make sure the wire guardian is out of the way and squeeze. And that creates the U shape. Turn it sideways. I'm going to place it inside the second notch from the front, from the tip. And that's the notch that folds it over. And squeeze. And I'm using the tip to tighten it up a little bit more. So that's what you should have. Now before I cut off the tail, I'm going to go ahead and slide on a crimp cover. It's easier if you go in from underneath like this. And by the way, I am going to slide the tail through some of the beads before I cut it off. To close my crimp cover, I'm going to use these crimping pliers. And I'm going to do it very gently. You want to make sure your wire guardian is out of the way. You don't want it caught up in there. That's happened to me many, many times. It's very frustrating when that happens. And I'm going to go around the whole thing to get a nice round shape. And that's good enough. There it is. So now I'm going to go ahead and slide my beads down and tuck the tail in through some of the beads. Maybe just a couple. That's one. Let me go ahead and slide it through this one as well, if it'll fit. There we go. Cut off the excess carefully. And slide the rest of the beads down. So now we're going to do this end, and I'm going to remove the seed bead. Slide my tube onto my beading wire. And the wire guardian. Going in one end, like this. And now let me go down this other end, like this. Let me bring it down. Take the tail and go through the crimp tube and through some of these disc beads. I think I'll go through all 6 of them. Like so. Pull everything down. Now you don't want it too tight, you want it to be fluid. And keep in mind that you need some space for the crimp cover as well. So once again, I'm going to come in here with my crimping pliers. Make sure the wire guardian is out of the way. And go ahead and squeeze. Turn it sideways. Place it inside the second notch. And squeeze. And then tighten it up with a tip. So now that's crimped. Let me go ahead and cut off the excess beading wire. Nice and close to the beads. Attach my crimp cover. So that's good enough. And after all this, I just remembered that I did not remove these discs from the end. So I guess I'm going to be using a lobster clasp, and that's okay. Sometimes that happens. Here I have 2 4mm jump rings and a lobster clasp, and I have an extended chain. I'm going to go ahead and add the extended chain with some dangles on the end. Now I don't know about you, but I don't like my extended chains to be so long. So I think I'm going to remove some of these links. I'm thinking maybe I'll remove 3 links. Something like that. And these are open links, so I think I'm just going to go ahead and open it up instead of cutting it. And maybe I'll just attach 1 dangle. I was thinking about doing a couple, but I'm just going to attach 1 bead to the end of that chain. I'm going to use one of these, and I have it on a ball head pin. This one came in the box. It came on a strand. Let me grab the pin with my round nose pliers, and I don't want too many wraps, so I'm going to grab it very close to the tip like this, bend my wire, reposition my pliers, wrap the tail around the nose of the pliers, flip my pliers around, continue to wrap to the back. Let me go ahead and open up this loop, slide my chain into it like this. I'm going to grab the loop with these pliers. I like using these because they have skinny tips and they grab really well. And now with these needle nose pliers, I'm going to grab the tail and I'm going to create a couple of wraps. Snip off the excess. Tuck in the little tail. You don't want any sharp ends. So there's my extended chain. Let me open up one of these jump rings. Slide my chain into it. And slide this end of the bracelet into it as well. And close it up. Open up this jump ring. Slide my clasp into it. And slide the other end of the bracelet into it as well. And close it up. So this bracelet's done. It's so pretty. I love it. I love all the colors. Now I am going to list the sizes of the beads and everything down below in the description section of this video, because I know some of you haven't seen the unboxing video for this collection. But real quick, this is a magnesite bead, this oval one. It's called a magnesite pillow stone, and it measures 20 by 15 millimeters. These are Heishi disc beads. They're brachiated jasper beads, and they measure 6 by 2 millimeters. I think this flower bead measures 14 millimeters across. This green round one is 8 millimeters across. This one is 4 millimeters across. It's a rondelle, a faceted rondelle. And this flower bead is about 12 millimeters across. And the leaf bead measures 9 millimeters in length. And this one's a faceted natural turquoise cube bead, and it measures 6 millimeters across. I love the faceting on it. It's so pretty. But guys, don't get hung up on the bead sizes or anything like that. Just be creative and put together what appeals to you. By the way, the lobster clasp and the wire guardians and everything adds to the length of the bracelet. So even though these beads measured 6 inches on the rod, it's going to be 7 inches in length by the time you add all the findings, the crimp covers as well. It's one of those things you need to take into account when you're combining beads. Let me drape it over my wrist. Here it is. Isn't it pretty? And don't you love all these focals? But of course I love these Heishi beads as well. It's very, very pretty. I am going to model them for you later on, so please stick around for that. Let's move on to this one now, and I think I am going to use a toggle clasp for this one. So what I'll do is remove a couple of these rondelles. I'll remove one from this end. I'm putting my stopper back on so I don't lose my beads. And now let me remove one from this end. And by the way, I made these coil beads. I used the coil gizmo, I think it's called, or maybe it's the coil gizmo tool. I've used it before in previous videos. I just don't remember which one, but it's very easy to do and it's a lot of fun too. Plus you end up with something very unique. So once again, I'm going to use the same beading wire and I'm going to cut myself a 12-inch piece. I could probably get away with 10 inches, but like I said, I'd rather work with more than with less. And I'll be honest, sometimes I do that because the crimp tube doesn't always work out and I have to snip it off and start again. I'm sure you've experienced that. So here it is. So once again, here's some crimp tubes, a couple of wire guardians, a couple of crimp covers. I'm going to attach a clip at this end. And since you've already seen me do this, I'm going to go ahead and fast forward as I crimp my ends off. So now I've crimped off my ends. Here are 2 jump rings. I do want to add some dangles, and I think I'm going to add a couple. I'm going to add this leaf bead and this purple rondelle, faceted rondelle. Both of these came in the designer strand. Let me go ahead and create some dangles. I'm just going to do a couple of wraps. So once again, I'm grabbing the pin right above the bead like this. Bend it, reposition my pliers, wrap the tail around the nose, flip the pliers around, and continue to wrap to the back. I'm going to grab the loop with these pliers, grab the tail and do a couple of wraps. Cut off the excess. Tuck in the little end. My cat's meowing at me, I'm sure you can hear that. I'm actually going to take him to the vet this week because he's not eating very well, unfortunately. Let me go ahead and do this one the same way. I'm going to use a third jump ring to attach them. This one measures 4 millimeters in size. Let me go ahead and slide both of them into my jump ring. And slide this wire guardian into it as well. And close it. And I think I'm going to use this toggle clasp. It's nice and small. Let me open up this jump ring. I'm going to slide the wire guardian into it like this. And the ring portion of the toggle clasp. And close up my jump ring. And now let me open up this one. Slide my wire guardian into it. And the bar portion of the toggle clasp. And close it up. Now I do want to test it because I want to make sure that it goes in just fine. And it looks like it does. So now this bracelet's finished. I think it's adorable. I really like that leaf dangle. It's so cute. And I like the little touch of purple. Let me put it on. And actually, I think I'm going to add another jump ring to make it easier to put on. Because I just realized it is a little difficult. So you might want to have 2 or sometimes 3 to make sure it goes on properly. Let me go ahead and close this one. I should have realized that earlier. I completely forgot about that. But I'm glad I remembered. So now I'm going to go ahead and slide this jump ring into it and the bar portion. Make sure I don't lose them. So that should make things easier. I'm glad I remembered that. So there we go. Very, very pretty and unique too because of these beads. I hope you like it as well. So there's this one. And now we have this one. But anyways, you can see they coordinate really well together. I love that, and I like that they're very different from each other as well. So now we've done a toggle clasp and a lobster clasp, and now I'm going to show you how to do a stretch bracelet. So let me get the next set of beads for that. Here are the beads for this bracelet. I did end up adding a couple of extra rondelles at the end. The reason I did that is because I wanted this length to match the other bracelets, the length of the other bracelets. Let me show you. As you can see, if you include the clasp, these are pretty similar now. Same thing with this one. You do have to make adjustments along the way. But anyway, now would be a good time to take a screenshot of the bead patterns if you wanted to. I don't want to go over the sizes with you. I'm just going to list them down below in the description section of this video for those of you who didn't get the box. And I will number them. So for example, I'll list the materials for bracelet number 1, which is this one, and then number 2 and number 3. And for this one, we're going to use some stretch cord. I'm going to use this kind. I got this on Amazon, and I don't know how to pronounce that. I don't know if it's 5E0 or 5I0. I really don't know. But I like this set because it has all the different thicknesses, ranging from 0.4 millimeters all the way to 1 millimeter. And I'm going to use 0.8 millimeters today since the beads are pretty big. I'm going to cut myself a generous amount. I think it's about 14 inches worth. It's probably more than I need, but I like to have extra so I can make the knot comfortably. And what I'm doing now is pre-stretching my stretch cord. You need to do that because if you don't, with time, your bracelet will get loose because the weight of the beads will loosen it up. I do want to use a clip on the end so I don't lose the beads. And now I'm simply going to offload from the rod. And again, you want to hold on to this end of the rod. Slide the stopper off carefully without losing the beads. And now I'm going to offload. It's a little tricky with the seed beads because they're small. So now that I've strung on the beads, we're going to knot it off. I'm going to use this charm holder to hide the knot. It measures about 6 millimeters across. And what I like about this one is that it has a nice big hole. Let me go ahead and slide it on. And that size 8OC bead is actually going to sit up against the hole. It's not going to go inside. It barely fits. So now let me show you how to knot it off. I'm going to take the right side and go underneath the left. Take the tail and go through once like this. And pull. And now I'm going to take the left side and go underneath the right. Take the tail and go through the loop one time. And pull. And you do want to make sure that your beads don't slide inside that knot. And I'm pulling on the tails as well as the beads. You want a nice, tight, and small knot. So now we're going to take the right side and go underneath the left. And this time I'm going to go through the loop 2 times. So that's once and twice. And pull. And I'm pulling on the tail as well as the beads. And now I'm going to take the left side and go underneath the right, take the tail and go through the loop 2 times on this side. So that's once and twice and pull. And the only reason I'm able to do this is because of that charm holder. I'm going to be able to hide the knot inside that charm holder very easily. You wouldn't be able to do that kind of knot if you were trying to hide it inside a bead. And before I cut the tails, I'm going to add some glue. I'm going to use this one. This one's Loctite Super Glue. You can use Loctite, you can use GS Hypo Cement, any kind of jewelry glue. Let me just pull the beads out of the way. And you don't need a lot, just a little bit. Let me put some on the other side of the knot. That's good enough. Now normally you would want to let this dry before you snip off the ends, but I'm just going to go ahead and snip off the ends now, since I'm trying to get this tutorial done. And I'm going to leave a little tail. I'm not going to snip it too close to the knot. Just like that. And now I'm going to slide it into the charm holder. And that's all there is to it. Pretty easy. I've already created a couple of charms or dangles the same way that I did these ones. They just have a wrap loop and they're on a jump ring. And I have a jump ring here, it's already opened. I'm going to slide my dangles into the jump ring. You can use gold colored jump rings, by the way, or bronze. It's up to you. I'm not being very particular this time because my whole set's going to be mixed metals actually. All 8 bracelets. Let me close it. And that's it, guys. By the way, this little flower bead is from my own collection. It did not come in the box, but the purple one did. It's one of the matte magnesite 4mm size beads. Let me put it on. There it is. I think it's going to look nice with the other 2 bracelets that I made. There's that one. And this one. I just love all these colors. They definitely look very nice together. And here's this one and this one. So now we're going to move on to the next bracelet. And I think I'm going to do this one right here. This is the one that has the dangles in between. And these are going to be beaded components. So let me get the craft wire that we're going to be using. I'm going to use 20 gauge. And this color is actually hematite. But to me it looks very bronzy. I've cut myself a small piece. It measures about 1.5 inches, something like that. Let me just remove some of these beads. Using my pliers, I'm going to grab the wire about 3/8 of an inch down, bend it, grab the end with my round nose pliers, form a loop, make sure it's closed, and you want it centered as well, like that. Let me slide on a bead. I'll slide on all 3. Like this. Grab the wire right above the bead. You do want to leave a little bit of space so you can create a bend. And I'm lining up the bottom loop. Cut off the excess, leaving 3/8 of an inch. Grab the end with the round nose pliers. Make sure it's flush and form a loop. Let me line up my loops. Make sure they're facing the same direction. So there's one beaded component, and I'm going to go ahead and create the rest. As you can see, I finished my beaded components. There's a total of 8, and now I just need to connect them all. This time I'm going to use 5mm jump rings, and we're going to be attaching dangles on each jump ring. I've created a bunch of them. I'm going to be attaching 4 of these dangles to each jump ring. Let me go ahead and open one. I'm going to slide on 2 dangles. And now one of these components, another 2 dangles. And another component, and close it up. And that's what we have so far. So once again, I'm going to open up a jump ring. Slide on 2 dangles. And now this component, another 2 dangles. Make sure I don't lose them. And the next component. And close up my jump ring. So now I have 3 components connected with dangles in between. And now let me do the rest. As you can see, I've connected everything. And by the way, these little dangles are made the same way that I made the dangles on the other bracelets. The exact same way, they're just wrap loops on a jump ring. Same thing with this one, which is why I'm not showing you again, because I don't want to repeat everything over and over. Of course, you can always rewind to that part. Now for this one, I'm going to use a toggle clasp, and I'm not going to attach any dangles because we already have plenty there. Here are 2 jump rings. These are 4mm in size. Let me go ahead and open one up. Attach this end. And now the ring portion. And close it up. And just like the other one, I'm going to use 2 at this end. I keep forgetting about that, but here's another one. I'm going to slide on the bar portion and close it up. And now let me open up this one. Slide this jump ring into it, like that. And now this end of the bracelet. So this one's done. How pretty is that? It's so pretty. And I love the purple as an accent. So we have this one, we have this one, and this one. And pretty soon I'm going to run out of room on my mat because we have another 4 to make. And I think I'm going to use these beads for the next one. This is going to be another stretch cord bracelet. And I'm probably going to add some rondelles at the end, just like these, to make sure I have the correct length. I want about 7 inches worth. But as you can see, this time I added some size 11 seed beads in between my beads. And I used the same yellow faceted rondelles and the 4mm matte magnesite beads. And since I've already shown you how to do a stretch bracelet, I'm not going to show you again. So let me go ahead and do this off camera and I'll be right back. Here's the finished bracelet, bracelet number 5. As you can see, I did have to make some adjustments. I added another 4mm size bead on either side of the charm holder. I also added a couple of spacer beads from the designer strand. I just thought I'd try something different instead of size 8 seed beads. Obviously, I wouldn't have been able to use the size 11 seed beads because they would have slipped inside. The hole on that charm holder is pretty big. But these spacer beads worked out really well. I also created a couple of dangles, as you can see. I used a Heishi disc bead and a 4mm magnesite bead. I also used a Czech bead. But anyways, you can see it's a pretty dainty bracelet and I'm pretty happy with it. It's nice to have a dainty bracelet along with the other ones that are more bead heavy. Although the other ones aren't that big anyway. Let me show you what it looks like. Here it is. It is pretty dainty looking. But I think it looks great with this one. Both of these are stretch bracelets. This one and this one. I will put these on later on so you can see them all stacked together. Let me just move these up a little bit. I'm running out of space here. And here's this one. What an explosion of color. Don't you love it? I love all these different beads. I love the textures, the different finishes, the different shapes and sizes, but at the same time, they all coordinate. And that's because Didi's Deluxe bead boxes are always curated perfectly. You can never go wrong with their beads. So now we're going to move on to bracelet number 6. Actually, I'm going to make 6, 7, and 8 because they're all going to be strung the same and they're all going to have lobster clasps. I'm going to use these 3 rods and it's basically the same thing, guys. I've got seed beads in between some of them. I've got these metal spacer beads in between others, but they're all going to have a lobster clasp and an extended chain. So let me go ahead and string them and I'll see you in a few moments. As you can see, I've strung on all the beads and I didn't have to make any changes. The only changes I made is to remove the seed beads from this one at the ends and this one as well. because like I said, by the time I add the crimp cover, the jump rings and the clasp, they're all going to contribute to the overall length. And by the way, I did use 49 strand beading wire, the same kind that I used for the other one. It's 0.015 of an inch in thickness, or 0.38 millimeters, and it's in a bronze color. Like I said before, I'm going to add an extended chain, and it's going to have a dangle at the end. I'm going to use this one for this bottom one. It's the same cube bead as you can see. For the middle one, I'm going to use this one. It's a Czech flower bead and a faceted bronze bead from the designer strand. And for the top bracelet, I'm using a faceted rondelle and a size 80 seed bead. The faceted rondelle is from the designer strand as well. Like I said, guys, you really can't go wrong with all these beads. They all coordinate with each other. And I'm working with what I had left over because I actually used up all of the Heishi beads. Otherwise, I could have used one of them for a dangle on an extended chain. And by the way, these bronze spacer beads are from my own collection. I don't know if I mentioned it. I got a whole bag of them years ago from Amazon. As you can see, they come in different colors: copper, silver, antique, gold, and bronze. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and crimp these off and add the clasps and the extended chains, and I'll see you in a few moments. As you can see, I've crimped off the 3 bracelets. I must admit, these look very similar because of the bead patterns, but I guess there are some differences. This one has the bronze colored metal spacer beads, and it has these teardrop shaped beads as well. Plus the Heishi disc beads on this one are in sets of 3, whereas in this one they're in sets of 6. And by the way, these seed beads are size 11 seed beads, in case you're wondering. And when I was stringing this one, I noticed that I was missing one of the size 11 seed beads on the rod. I'm not sure if you guys noticed it. That happens to me from time to time because they're so small it's easy to miss. Let me see if I can drape them all on my wrists. Here are all 8 of them. I don't have them done up because it's really hard for me to do up the clasps on some of these. And I'm not suggesting that you would wear all of these at the same time like this. But as you can see, even if you like a lot of bracelets, they look really nice together. And don't forget that I will model these for you at the end of this video. So please stick around for that. I'll make sure that I do them up so you can see what they look like from a distance. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial. I hope I've given you some ideas with all these different bracelets, whether you decide on stretch cord or a lobster clasp or a toggle clasp. All 3 would work with most of these bracelets except for this one with the dangles. Obviously, you have to use craft wire for that one, but you could use a toggle clasp or a lobster clasp. You do have that choice. You just don't have the choice of stretch cord. But anyway, I hope this video was informative and inspirational at the same time. And I hope you can make your own bracelets, whether you bought this bead box or not. Like I said, I'll leave a list of all the materials down below for each one of these bracelets in case you don't have the box and you need to go out and buy the beads. So let me go ahead and put these on for you. Thank you so much for watching. I'm looking forward to seeing you again. Have a great day and I'll see you next time. Bye.